My parents took me to court over my dreams of owning a house. Yes, my own parents. One moment, I was on cloud 9 clutching the keys I meticulously saved for over 6 long years, and the next, I was drowning in legal jargon, feeling like a felon. My dad, without batting an eye, declared that the house actually belonged to my sister. Newsflash. My heart didn't break that day. Oh no, that was just the appetizer for the drama that followed. Growing up, I convinced myself silence was golden, believing that hard work would keep the peace. Meet my dad, Malcolm, whose decrees were as unyielding as a political manifesto. Then there's my mom, Roslyn, the chief guilt tripper, mixing disappointment into her praise like a master chef. Meanwhile, my younger sister Celeste floated blissfully through life, thriving under their unwavering affection while I stumbled along, fighting for even a hint of recognition. Fairness? Forget it. It always seemed to be on vacation while expectations ruled our roost. But I kept my sights locked on my career, hoping to break free from the restraints of my upbringing. I spent sleepless nights hunched over my laptop, determined to secure the freedom I craved. Patience became my superpower as I saved relentlessly, avoiding luxuries like the plague. Say goodbye to spontaneous vacations and hello to packed lunches, all in the name of owning a slice of my dreams. When the day finally arrived and I announced my down payment victory, my mom was bursting with excitement, lighting candles as if hosting an impromptu celebration. Malcolm offered a curt nod of approval. My heart swelled. But cue Celeste, iced tea in hand, casting a shadow over my moment. Must be nice with that engineering salary. Some of us are still drowning in student loans. Ouch. Her mean spirit wrapped around us like a thick fog, choking any joy I dared to claim. Despite the tense air, I held my chin up and stood firm. I could feel the invisible ties of resentment weaving around us tighter. Celeste was struggling with my success. I refused to let it trip me up. Weekend home tours turned into my escape. I fantasized about a life where my decisions weren't up for debate, where I could call the shots without familial commentary. Finally, I discovered a quaint 2-story gem on the outskirts of the city. Was it a palace? No. It was perfect in its imperfection because it was mine. Signing those papers felt like the climax of a thrilling movie, a breath I had been holding for years finally released. Little did I know, this triumphant moment was merely the fuse that would incinerate the final illusions I had about my family arrangement. A plot twist was brewing, and I was right in the middle of it. 3 days post-closing, there I was, lounging in a chaos of half-open boxes in my new living room. The sweat trickled down my back as I gripped a screwdriver in one hand, blissfully ignoring my phone, which buzzed incessantly. That is until I saw Mara's name flash across the screen. "You need to see this right now." Panic surged through me as I clicked the message, bracing myself for disaster. A screenshot from Celeste's social media was staring back, dripping with melodrama and accusations. Celeste was stirring the pot, claiming, "When your sister uses the money grandma meant for your first home to buy one for herself instead." My jaw dropped. The post was littered with likes and comments from strangers, labeling me as greedy and selfish. My throat tightened as I reread it, thinking surely I'd misunderstood, but, nope. Celeste was fully convinced I had swiped an inheritance that was never even destined for her. I felt my heart drop. Did she just accuse me of theft? Before I could vent to Mara, my phone rang again. Dad. The moment I picked up, his voice was as flat as a pancake. Apparently, he needed to discuss some convoluted situation regarding the house. What situation? I shot back, already sensing the storm brewing. His tone sharpened, like I was the one trying to dodge a bullet. Malcolm said their attorney was involved and, out of nowhere, I learned about funds supposedly set aside for my sister's future home. Heh! My mind was reeling. As he outlined this grand conspiracy of funds and plans, it felt like reality was cracking under pressure. "That house belongs to your sister," he finally spat, leaving me sitting on the stairs, utterly shocked. "You're joking, right?" I gasped. She never even mentioned wanting this house. But Malcolm didn't buy it. In fact, he got all huffy and declared they were filing in court the very next day. My heart sank deeper than a stone. My jaw fell. You're taking me to court for a house I was excited to call mine? Then came Roslyn's voice, thick with disappointment, echoing Dad's sentiments about sisterly needs. She deserves this. You can buy another one, she advised, like I could just pluck another house from a tree. As if 6 years of sacrifices could be easily replicated. The call ended abruptly, leaving a hollow silence that screamed betrayal. It hit me harder than any boxing match. My parents were picking sides, and mine was clearly out of the equation. That night, Mara arrived like a supportive ninja, takeout in hand and a knowing look plastered on her face. You're not crazy, she whispered, concern etched into her features. They are trying to take your house. Bursting into the room was Ashton, crossing his arms with a serious demeanor. The duo brought the news that I had been blind to a brewing legal war. A swell of dread settled in my gut as I realized this was all not just a jolting family squabble, but a hostile takeover. I hardly slept that night, slumped at Mara's kitchen counter, nursing a mug of cold tea while her apartment buzzed with life around me. The reality of the situation weighed like an anchor, tightening my chest with confusion. Mara watched with determination, refusing to let me face the looming storm alone. You're staying here with me, she insisted. I wanted to argue but knew that, at this moment, I couldn't battle a raging tide of betrayal alone. Ashton strutted back into my life the next day, practically bursting with urgency and a folder tucked neatly under his arm. I've made some calls, he announced, sliding the folder toward me with a flourish. You need a specialist, someone who dances through inheritance disputes like a pro. I raised an eyebrow at him. Inheritance? There's no inheritance issue. Ashton shot back a humorless smirk. Oh, trust me, your parents are the ones creating that juicy drama. We met Vivian Hale that very afternoon in her posh office, where sleek glass walls overlooked an impressive cityscape, matching the cool composure she exuded. As I regaled her with everything from Celeste's cheeky post to Malcolm's ominous threats, she leaned back, absorbing every detail with her pen poised. Their claim sounds as fabricated as a cheap sitcom, she mused. But she warned that weak cases could still pack a punch if mishandled. We'll need your documentation. Anything showcasing the house was a product of honest earned income. I took her seriously. I have every transfer, every savings log. Good, she said with a tap of her pen. Now, let's talk witnesses. Who knew the inheritance was split equally? My confidence surged as I realized my Uncle Raymond and Aunt Miriam were my go-to people. Raymond picked up on the second ring, his voice rich with worry. Hannah, darling. What's happening? I spilled the details, and without missing a beat, he declared, your grandmother would rip a hole in anyone trying to mess with you. I'm in, just tell me what to sign. Aunt Miriam, though quieter, felt like a weighty anchor. I always feared this might happen, she admitted softly. Your father tried to sway your grandparents to change the will for Celeste. They shut him down. Then, after a contemplative pause, she added, if you need me, consider it done. With each revelation, the truth jigsawed together before my eyes. This wasn't about me, it was a messy legacy tugging at threads from years of hidden expectations and unfulfilled promises, with Celeste sadly holding on to fantasies that would never come true. Just when I thought things couldn't spiral further, Mara and I were heading to my house to grab a few belongings when we spotted a shady figure on the porch. Someone's jiggling the door handle, I exclaimed, our pace quickening. It was Celeste, struggling with a key I'd never given her. What are you doing? I yelled, incredulous. She jerked back like I'd thrown a bucket of ice water at her, defensively stammering that she thought breaking in would be totally fine since the house would be hers anyway. Ah, the audacity. And just like that, it transformed from an awkward family debacle into a suspenseful legal showdown. Vivian called it what it was, attempted unauthorized entry. Now that's some golden evidence. My previously suffocating fear morphed into something much sharper. They wanted a legal war. Game on. The courthouse loomed ahead, filled with the musty scent of aging paper and soap-smelling disinfectant that felt more sterile than warm. As I walked alongside Vivian down the echoing hallway, my heart thudded loudly, an ever-strong reminder of the impending clash. Entering the courtroom, my red alert anxiety kicked in full throttle. Malcolm, Roslyn, and Celeste were already stationed at the plaintiff's table, Malcolm rigid with determination as if he was gearing up for a gladiatorial fight. Roslyn couldn't even muster a glance, while Celeste shot daggers at me, radiating entitlement like it was her birthright. Vivian's gentle touch reassured me. Stay steady. Remember, we're not battling feelings today, we're dishing out facts. And just like that, the atmosphere shifted the moment Judge Anna Carter strolled in. The courtroom snapped into silence, her commanding presence transforming the chaotic energy into respectful stillness. She carried the authority that made you straighten up without a second thought. "Let's begin," she declared, and in that instant, I knew it was time to brace myself both for the facts and the emotional rollercoaster that was about to unfold. Bernard Langford, my parents' lawyer, kicked things off with all the flair of a courtroom drama. "Your Honor," he proclaimed, "this case revolves around a verbal family agreement that Miss Hannah has blatantly ignored." My stomach felt like it was in a twisty roller coaster. That house she bought was intended for Celeste, based on long chats within the family. Fabulous, right? Meanwhile, Vivian stood there unfazed, like she had a royal flush up her sleeve, just waiting for her turn. "Your Honor," she began, and you could almost hear the courtroom theme music queued up. While the plaintiffs claim a verbal agreement devoid of witnesses or documentation, the defendant has provided ironclad payment records showing every dollar for that house came from 6 years of hard-earned income. Judge Carter nodded, clearly intrigued, ready to dive deeper into this sketchy family drama. Now, let's see how the witnesses would roll. First up was Malcolm, my father. He strutted to the front like a man finally earning the applause he craved. "My wife always wanted to help Celeste buy her first home," he said. It was presented as some secret understanding. While I seethed silently, Vivian reassured me with a gentle grip on my arm. Oh, this was just getting started. Bernard was quick to line up the next witness, Roslyn, who treaded carefully, her voice trembling like a leaf. "We don't mean to hurt Hannah. We simply want what's rightfully Celeste's," she cooed, as though promised were a solid foundation. Then came Celeste, skating into the spotlight with her respectable skirt smoothed down. Taking a breath, she declared, "I've been saving for years, but my income doesn't match Hannah's." Cue the sighs of sympathetic onlookers. I rolled my eyes, thinking about how understanding she claimed to be while Bernard patted her shoulder, like some concerned relative. Classic courtroom script, really. Next, it was Vivian's time to shine. Poised as ever, she called Uncle Raymond to the stand, and he entered like he owned the place. The will was split evenly, he stated, clear and unapologetic. Bernard scrambled to throw some doubt into the ring, but Uncle Raymond didn't budge. He dropped that truth bomb, leaving jaws clenched across the courtroom, including Malcolm's. Meanwhile, Aunt Miriam made her entrance slowly but confidently, echoing the belief in fairness against Malcolm's selfish desires for an altered inheritance. Then it was my time in the hot seat, and let me tell you, that microphone was too close for comfort. But giving my truth felt empowering, like a breath of fresh air. I saved for 6 years and can account for every dollar. No inheritance funds were touched, I proclaimed, as Vivian presented a meticulously organized packet of evidence. Judge Carter leafed through the documents like a well-prepared detective on a case, nodding thoughtfully. Just when I thought we had it all under control, Vivian added a final twist. "Your Honor, we have one more matter to discuss." Suddenly, all eyes were on Celeste as key drama loomed. She had tried to enter my property with a key that wasn't hers. The plot thickened. I wasn't breaking in, I just wanted a glimpse inside. But that didn't matter to Vivian, who wouldn't even cast me a glance. A neighbor, apparently capturing a real-life drama unfolding, recorded the event and promptly called the police. The report made its way into evidence, showing the plaintiff's belief that the house should belong to them, regardless of who signed the papers. Bernard stumbled through his response and, with a calmness that would make a monk proud, Vivian remarked that entitlement was at the heart of the matter. Judge Carter, the rock star of the courtroom, held up a hand for silence while the crowd came to a standstill. "I've reviewed everything," she stated, eyes piercing through the tension. It was clear the will split assets equally, and there was scant evidence promoting Celeste's claims. The purchase had zero strings attached. It was as straightforward as ordering takeout. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation as she pointed out the concerning attempted entry, leaving Celeste's face a canvas of horror. The gavel's sharp bang echoed like a home run call. "I dismiss the case with prejudice," she declared. My emotions surged like a wave, not relief but rather the sense of a heavy weight vacating my chest. Rosin looked at me, mouth agape, while Malcolm's eyes exploded with dark energy like a cartoon villain caught mid-monologue. Then Celeste crumpled into tears. Once outside, Malcolm wasn't finished. "This isn't over. We're still family," he barked, channeling a drama king. Turning to face him was like flipping a light switch. Family doesn't drag one another into court over wild allegations or scheme to take what someone else has earned, I retorted. Roslyn, ever the peacekeeper, reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "You've already fought and lost, Roslyn." Celeste, eyes raw, confessed, "I thought it was meant to be mine." "It never was," I said gently. In that moment, she appeared smaller, lost. Vivian stood by like a fortress, claiming, "We're done here," and in that instant, we truly were. Walking away, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt something far better: steady, whole, free. The unexpected reverberated behind me, and I understood I had reclaimed my power. Arriving home, I noticed the sun descended sweetly behind the rooftops, casting orange glows that kissed my front door. Unfastening it, I stepped inside and wrapped myself in the calm silence, far removed from past worries. Mara was first through the door, carrying takeout like she'd just returned from war, her grin large enough to rival a winning quarterback's. "You did it," she squealed, wrapping me tight like a victory medal. Ashton soon followed with sparkling cider, and with every cheer, I felt a little taller. Vivian arrived cool and collected, yet her smile radiated warmth like the sun. "Justice may not solve everything, but it sure helps you breathe easier," she said. Raymond and Miriam's call was filled with pride, reminding me of my grandparents' undying faith in fairness. That night, I felt a connection higher than the mere ties of blood. It was a matter of choice. I wandered my living room, my fingers gliding over the smooth, rejuvenated table. I opened the windows to invite night air, and for the first time, the house felt more than just a place. It was home, fully mine again, without question or doubt. That evening, leaning against my doorway, I realized a timeless truth: family isn't just blood or duty or proclaimed loyalty. It's the ones who stand tall beside you when life tries to break you. I had won back more than a case. I had reclaimed my entire life, my home, my boundaries, and, most importantly, my voice. If you too have ever fought for what you cherish or faced those who tried to rewrite your narrative, know you are not alone.